You can't master trading if you cannot do this one thing. And what is that one thing that I'm talking about? I'm talking about respecting your process, having a process where you live and die by for your trading. And I spent a lot of time jumping around from one strategy to the next and completely ignoring the trading process. And this was one of the main things that held me back for so long. And we hear about the process, the trading process. We actually hear about it. A lot of people, a lot of professional traders talk about having a process, but what does a process actually mean? So by the end of this video, we are going to have an autistic idea. We're going to dissect what an actual trading process looks like so that you understand what it is, how to create a process, and how to stick by it so that you can improve your trades and ultimately make more money. So to begin with, every result is a result of sticking to a process, whether that's in trading or whether that's at the gym, having a diet, having a certain outcome that you want to achieve. You have to have a process. For example, if I wanted to have six-pack abs, my process would be going for a run, 5 kilometer run every day, not eating sugary foods, and sticking to a strict diet would be the process that I would have to follow to have six-pack abs. It's the same as a trader. If a trader wants to be profitable, they have to have a process. And the process has to be strict, it has to be respected, and they have to live it week in, week out, and it has to be repeatable. So, what does a process for a trader look like? Let's start with having a pre-trade process. So, everything that happens before you actually take a trade. And what does that look like? When does that actually start? For me, my trading process actually starts on Sunday when I do my weekly analysis. That's the beginning of my weekly trading process is on the Sunday before markets open. I'm looking for my setups. I'm planning the week ahead. That's a process. That's part of my process. You understand? And to make that process a success means for me waking up early on Sunday morning and before doing anything else, before I leave the house, before I go out to eat, before I have breakfast, I spend 2 hours analyzing the markets, looking for my setups, planning the week ahead, looking what days the news events are coming out, what levels the market could reverse, and which pairs I'm going to be interested in for this week. I have a structured plan that I can stick to religiously throughout the rest of the week. So I know exactly what I have to do for the rest of the week. That's the beginning of my pre-trade process. And waking up early and giving 2 hours of deep work, being in full concentration. When I don't have a proper deep work session on Sunday, I'm skipping things. I'm rushing my process. You see, so then I'm not doing myself any favors. So understanding and respecting that alone is a good start to the beginning of your process, having a strong foundation for the week, right? Starts with doing the deep work, doing the eating that frog, getting that out of the way. That's the hard stuff. And then for the rest of Sunday, I can take the rest of the day off. I don't need to care. I can go and eat whatever I want. I can go do whatever I want, chill, you know, do whatever because I've done the hard work, the important stuff for the day. That's my priority for the day, for Sunday, right? So that's like a weekend pre-market preparation. You got to be prepared so that when the opportunity arrives, you can execute, right? And then you have a daily process. So that might mean going to sleep on time the night before. So you have a good night's sleep, right? You have a good sleep routine so that you wake up and your mind is fresh and clear so that you're sharp, so you're not impulsive when it comes to market execution time. So that's also part of my trading process, is making sure that I get my sleep in, right? And then also eating the right foods so that my mind is sharp. So I'm not eating carbs before I'm trading, because carbs will give me brain fog. And if I have brain fog, then I'm not at 100%, you see? So that's also important. That's also part of my process. And then going for a walk, resetting every day, having a morning ritual, that's also part of a process for a trader, right? Having a pre-market ritual, so maybe 15 minutes pre-market meditation, just to be mindful and calm your mind a little bit. And then also being able to visualize your trades, right? You should not trade if you don't have a visualization of what your trade and your entry looks like, what you're looking for. You got to be clear. And you become clear from doing the weekend analysis, right? Pre-planning, so that you can revisualize and go over and run through that market preparation that you did on the weekend, so that you're clear of what you're looking at for every single time frame. That's important, right? So that's the pre-market. And then it comes to execution time. Do you have a system in place for your execution? How do you grade your trades? Do you have a grading system? Do you know what an A plus setup looks like versus an A setup and a B setup and a D setup? Do you know what these look like? Are you able to grade your trades? Do you know if you're taking an A plus setup or not? Do you have a spreadsheet? Do you have a template, right? To grade out your trades, to record and journal each trade. That's your execution time. And then you know what you're looking for. Are all your confluences ticking off? Should you be getting into the trade now? Have you checked the weekly news calendar? Maybe you're trading on a bank holiday and you don't even know. Do you understand? Like, you have to be aware of this, and this goes into your process. You have to know everything. You have to be artistically crazy. You have to live and die by the process, because the process is what gets you to profit. Do you understand? I suffered for a long time because I had no process, right? I was just chasing profits and new strategies, but never really focusing on the process. So I want to take the time to explain to you what a process is so you understand it. And now you've taken your trade, you got your execution, right? Are you able to manage your emotions? Do you have a process to manage your emotions? Do you know what to do if your trade goes into a drawdown? Do you know what to do if you take a loss for that day? Are you aware? Do you know when to stop and walk away? That's another part of your process that you got to manage. Your emotions. Do you know how to let your profits run? Do you know when you're getting greedy and fearful? These are all part of your processes that you need to manage, your emotions. I'm not joking. It might seem so obvious, but none of you guys are doing it. You're not aware of your emotions. That's why you can't even hold a trade. Or that's why you revenge trade, or you want to get back at the market, because you got this ego issue that you want to fix, because you didn't take the time to artistically put it into your trading process. Do you understand? If you need to create a system to manage your emotions, check out the first link in the description. That'll sort you out on the emotional side, so that you are in the right frame of mind, so that you can control your trades better and control yourself better. If you cannot control yourself, then I advise you that you click that link and check it out. It's going to help you. And then after your trades, what are you doing after your trades? Are you journaling? Are you reviewing your emotions? Do you have a system to review your emotions and the lessons that you learned, right? So that if you write down lessons learned for each trade, then you have something to look over again on the weekend when you're doing the weekend analysis for your next week. You can review all your past trades then. So you have something to refer back to, something to come back to and look at and measure. You can't improve if you can't measure. Not only are you reviewing your setup and how everything went and what you learned, you're reviewing your emotions. That's important. So there you have it. That's what basically a trading process looks like. It's not just showing up to a chart on a random day and clicking buttons out of nowhere without a plan. The process is doing it over and over and over again and refining the process and making it sink into your memory bank so that it becomes part of your habit. Then the trading becomes emotionless. It becomes easier, right? You don't want to make things hard. It's like if you're trying to lose weight, right? Why would you go to a cake shop? Avoiding the cake shop is part of the process, right? Going to the gym is part of the process, right? Eating, getting your proteins in is part of the process. If you want to build your muscle, you need to know, you need to be artistically clear on what the process looks like. Some of y'all don't take any time to look into this. You're just flying by blind, right? You got no idea what your process looks like. You think it's like 10%, but of what it actually is. You're missing the other 90%. It's everything. You have to be obsessed with the process. You have to fall in love with the process, right? If you want to trust the process, you got to fall in love with the process and know that you stuck to the process and you did everything you could. And if you took a loss, that's part of the process. And if you took a win, that's also part of your process. You have an edge, right? You got to live and die by the process. I'm telling you, it's important because this will change everything in your trading, right? So if there's one thing you can take away this week, focus on your process. Go, if you don't have a process, go make one. Spend half an hour and just make a schedule. Go get a Google Calendar and create a new schedule for your week. A time you eat, a time you go to bed, a time you wake up, what time you look at your Sunday analysis, right? You want to make sure you do it artistically, and this is how you're going to separate yourself from everybody else that keeps failing, right? I'm here to help you. I'm here to tell you the things that nobody else is telling you, right? I want to see you win. So let me know if you're new to the channel. Like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments below what your process looks like, if you even have a process, and if this is a wake-up call for you. And if you don't have a process, you don't need to feel bad. Just go and make a process and live by it religiously. It's your new way of life, right? You got to become, not just try to be. You got to become, and you become by being, by doing these things. Everything counts, right? So I want to see you guys win. See you in the next video. Take care. Have a great week. Bye.